Right.
Okay.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much. Thank you
It's a
for
pleasure, Ben.
welcoming me into your lovely house. For anyone that might watch this, you know, there might be my family and your family, but what is your name?
Margaret Hamilton.
Okay, and where do you teach?
I teach at Dunstan High School in the art department.
Excellent. And where and when, if you don't mind me asking, did you do your teaching degree?
At Dunedin Teachers College. But it wasn't a degree, it was a diploma of teaching.
Mm-hmm. And you did your arts degree first?
No, fell into art teaching by accident rather than design.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. And why did you become a teacher?
Well, I would love to be able to say that as a deeply philosophical reason, but I got through my high schooling years and all my friends were going to do teaching, and I had that need to be with them, and also found out that you got paid to be learning to be a teacher, and that appealed to me enormously. So for deeply shallow reasons, that's why I became a teacher.
No, it's really good to understand, you know, people's reasons for going into it. But you know, if I can say from my personal experience, I didn't go into teaching to want to be a teacher, but I found that throughout teaching I became a teacher.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. In one sentence, could you try and give your description of what you think education is?
I think our job is to try and make our children find their place in the world in a way that makes them feel confident.
Perfect.
And successful. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Hi,
Laura.
And successful. What do you see as successful?
Success is such a variety of things. Like, yes, we're being interviewed and filmed. It is so many different things to different people. It entirely depends on what motivates you. For some people, they are motivated to be successful financially. For some people, it's spiritually. I don't think you can put it. I think it's something that satisfies the inner self. I don't think there can be any parameters on success in terms of this is success.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's very individual.
And completely, as is teaching.
Perfect.
Yes.
Great. And in your opinion, what is the key to children's learning?
Fun, which is probably something I shouldn't say first, but fun, because I love the bones of my kids and we have so much fun together. Fun.
I think that's a beautiful place to start.
Is it a good place to start?
I reckon it's perfect because enjoyment, I think we remember enjoyable experiences.
Yes, we do, and I remember my funnest teacher ever. I remember her, Mrs. Jackson in French, but anyway, that's beside the point. Fun first. I love to meet and greet the kids as they walk in the door and make some sort of, you know, start the period with a bit of a laugh and good-natured, you know, that sort of thing on entry in the room. What's the I've blithered on. What was the question again, Ben?
So what is the key to children's learning?
Yes, that fun. I think being consistent, being fair, because the thing is that what we perceive as light throwaway things can end up having quite a, you know, we don't understand at times how much impact that sort of thing has on kids.
Totally, and kids have a concept of what is fair.
Oh, they do, and they watch too to make sure that it is fair. So I think fair, consistent, firm parameters. You've got to have parameters, especially with high school kids. I think they feel safe and comfortable with that, where they know where they are, and I think being able to realise that within any given group you have got an absolutely enormous range of things that are happening beyond the school in their lives, and an enormous range of things that are happening to them in terms of their educational abilities. And so you've got to somehow try and cater for that. But I'm lucky because art does that in every way, because it's such an individual thing, hands-on, creative, at their own strength and pace, all those sorts of things, and their own satisfaction is gained from what they've done. So the learning takes place in spite of me, to be perfectly fair.
Classic. So that's the arts, isn't it? It's very individual, and it's expression as opposed to, 4 + 4 is 8.
Yes,
everyone has to do that the same way.
And also constant self-evaluation. And that's what I love about watching the kids work. You know, they can be engaged in doing a nice big painting, and you see them pausing and you know, you can see the process, and then they'll have a natter to the person beside them, and they will discuss aspects of the work and how they can make it better. And when a job's well done, it's just huge, and it's so measurable to be able to see their improvement. That's the other thing. It's a very, very good place to be. Everybody should be an art teacher, to be honest with me. The rest is just stuff.
Yeah.
Apart from music.
Well, that's it. We give a little bit of input. When I started a project in Argentina, we started with the arts, music, art, and drama.
Draw them in.
Yeah, and it's expression. It's allowing kids to be themselves, to be confident in themselves, and expressing themselves in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think maybe this is that school should focus a lot more on the arts, right?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because there was an article that came out of, I think, Europe, Britain maybe, just the other day, that said that there are schools now who are bringing the focus away from the core subjects that have had so much weight and so much money put behind them and all that sort of thing, and steering their focus towards those, so that the kids experience that incredible feeling of achievement and creativity and success and all those things, and then it flows into the other areas.
Couldn't agree more.
By osmosis.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So there are a lot of places that are doing that. And then we've got that fantastic school somewhere in the North Island, and it's a boys' school, Ben. You probably won't have even heard of this. The boys put on boiler suits at interval. We boys.
Yeah.
They've got an enormous macrocarpa hedge. The boys are allowed to use that as forts. They're allowed to climb to the very top of it and be pirates. They've got mudslides. They are absolutely...
freedom.
They just hammer themselves at interval and lunchtime, and they are so receptive to the quiet focus of learning afterwards.
And boys and girls are different, right?
Apparently so. My God, Ben.
Deep, that was deep.
God, that's amazing.
Look, alright, note that, take that. And here we go.
Right.
I suppose these are all leading into each other, and you'd probably explain a little bit in your other...
Blurbling on.
Yeah,
Yes.
the characteristics of a great teacher.
Right. So, I'm trying to think now of Mrs. Jackson, my French teacher. First and foremost is that we loved her. She had a warm and engaging personality. She made our classes fun, but my God, she hammered all sorts of stuff into us. But she did it in a way that, we wanted to be a part of it. We respected her enormously. She had boundaries. I can remember once being told off by her because I overstepped the boundary in the fun department, because I'm inclined to be a little bit, loud at times. And I was devastated because I respected her so much. She gave us lots and lots of her life experiences.
Yeah.
She shared lots of her story with her, so we really felt we got to know her. And that's one of the things that I love about art, because as I'm pootling around the room with the kids and they're engaged in a project that might take them 3 or 4 weeks, so it's not all chalk and talk from me. I get them started away, and then I can just rove the room helping them and talk to them, and they can talk to me. So I tell them stories, and they love stories about Mr. Hamilton, because it's funny to hear about his real life, and his faults and foibles and all those sorts of things, and what makes him tick.
Teachers don't exist outside the classroom to some
kids. I think that used to happen a bit in primary school. I didn't even think they went to the toilet when I was at school. I didn't understand, I thought they were just these beings that were in the room. But I think when you get to secondary school, the kids want to know, they want to be involved, and so I'm in that lucky position of being able to do that.
Cool.
Because,
And so you're touching on relationships
and what makes a good teacher. I think you have to You have to want to be able to get, that was clumsily put, into the world of the kids. For example, in my last semester, I had a young man who came in, and he's quite a bullish looking boy, quite sort of clearly a boy who spends most of his life outdoors, quite sort of, you know, a bit scaly and a gruff boy and thick set and not particularly socially adept. And for the first couple of periods I remember thinking, God, what on earth has he done? Artful, because there seems to be absolutely no engagement. So I thought, right, okay, need to find out a bit about him, which I did through Bones, and then hammered him with kindness, plus chatting to him about his world. Found out that he's actually taking apart a 4-wheel drive and he's putting it back together again. And I said, oh, is it a paddock basher, you know, for you to learn to drive? He said, oh no, it's going to be roadworthy. And I said, man, kids, listen to this. Well, you know, it took 2 seconds and that kid was just fabulous.
Brilliant.
He was such a success story that we both were thrilled with each other. You know what I mean? It was so good.
And isn't it funny how sometimes we have prejudgment?
Yes.
And we read a book by its cover, and then it's like there's a way to touch anybody.
Yes, of course there is. There is. Although Nigel Latter would argue that there is a very small percentage of society that is just socially evil and cannot be swayed in any way. They are born that way and they function that way and they die that way. But it is. Yeah, you should have it. Have you ever?
No, I'll look into it.
Do. Do.
Nigel Latter.
Nigel Latter.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I digress.
No, that's perfect. Nature or nurture?
That is an argument, not an argument, a discussion that Bones and I have all the time. And I can't make a decision on that one, Ben. I can't. Because as a teacher you see kids who come from backgrounds that would just make your heart break, who do their level best to not be that person.
They've learned from the environment not to do.
Yes.
Yep.
And others who have been given every opportunity and every support, and they just don't have the inner tools to make the most of that either.
Right.
I think they're on balance equally as important as each other. I think. I don't know. Bones, what do you think? Nurture, nature?
Wait, well, he can,
oh no, you get your turn.
You
sorry.
get your turn later.
Sorry, so you have to have a think about that. Shh, you're going to be next.
Nurture mainly.
Nurture mainly.
Okay.
Right.
How much of a role does school play in the development of children?
I think it's huge. I think it's a safe place for an awful lot of kids.
Yep.
I think it. See, there again, it's another one. Some people consider secondary school a holding pen to keep our teenagers off the streets, but it isn't. You just need to go to a prize giving to realise how incredibly well lots of kids do.
Yep.
I think it socialises. I think it reinforces accepted ways of participating in society in a way that is comfortable and safe. I think it gives an opportunity in terms of finding a direction. Not all, I mean, you know, plenty of kids leave school, they've got no idea, but we give them tastes of all sorts of things.
That's great.
Yeah. So it gives them some choices, I think, Ben.
Good.
I hope so.
And amplifies those options.
Well, you don't know unless you try. And I think school curriculums are getting broader and broader and broader because we've got to embrace things like technology and you know, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think within the confines of homeschooling and things like that, I think it becomes a much narrower field.
Yep.
But also just the sheer you and me together beside each other in a classroom having to learn to, you know, I mean, Dunstan High School isn't a private school with beautifully funded, you know, everything. It is all kids from the community, all stratas in there, learning to cohabit together.
Yep.
Yeah, I think. So I think that's important skills.
Cool. And so I think I kind of know one of these. If the curriculum was limited to 3 subject areas, what would they be? And why?
There would be one physical,
Mm-hmm.
one intellectual, and one creative.
Great.
Okay, I think
I like that answer. Yeah.
balance.
Balance.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. I couldn't agree more, because looking at the four key elements of health, mental, physical, emotional and spiritual,
Yeah.
encompassing those. That's great.
Hauora. That's the Māori name for that.
Hauora.
Mm.
Perfect. I should know that. Right. Like that.
Hauora.
And
Belong.
if you could change something about today's education system, what would it be?
Oh. Being the mother of a primary school teacher, because I'm on the cusp of retirement, and so
Yeah.
I've got my systems up and running, and
Yeah.
it's all, you know. But I see one of the major faults is the massive emphasis on assessment and reporting.
Yep.
Massive, to the extent that teachers, especially primary, are fried. They are absolutely fried. The expectations on them are enormous. I don't know why, to a man, the NZEI haven't actually said, enough, we are not doing this. And what's more, it's not even stopping, it's getting even worse. So most parents want to know, number one, is my child good in class?
Exactly.
Number two, are they getting on well with other children and the teacher?
Perfect.
Number three, are they below average?
Yeah.
Are they average? Or are they above average? And they're different. I mean, they don't understand. One of our science teachers, who's the most incredibly gifted, she is intelligent, she's the head of science. She could not understand her children's primary school reports. Beth has got to do things like running reading logs, and they have to do it.
Beth is your daughter.
Yes, she's a primary school teacher, and she has to do running reading logs where they actually have to note every single mistake the child makes, every self-correction, all those sorts of things, then analyse them in a mathematical way. I mean, you have to just trust a little bit of professional judgment. You know if a child is successful in their reading or their maths, and you know if they're struggling and need extra help. You don't need this absolutely time-consuming and huge. Sorry,
No,
brother wrong.
no. I agree with you.
Far too much teacher time is taken
By
out
assessment, standardised testing.
Yes, and the national standards. Appalling system. Appalling. Needs to go.
Okay, that's great. I'm loving hearing these opinions. And what are the core values that children could learn at school?
We do have values education, and funnily enough, we've been having a bit of a discussion about this, whether it can be actually taught. You can model it.
Yep.
You can discuss it. Like I know Beth does with her wee ones all the time, and in small but subtle ways, I think teachers are reinforcing it all the time. Just simple things like I don't allow any equipment to be given out by other kids unless the students thank them, you know, just little things like that.
Yep.
And we talk reasonably often amongst the group of kids that I'm teaching at the time about what makes for a good world, things like that. But I think if it's not intuitively inside of you, I think you can practice it, but maybe without commitment. But I think the truly good people who got values and things, I think probably again that comes back to a little bit of nurture. But you know, someone like you, Ben, you just understand what the world needs in order for good change to happen, and you're not prepared to go, oh, like I do, wringing my hand about, you know, Syria and all those places, but don't actually physically do anything about that. So, yeah.
So you'd say manners, respect,
Tolerance,
yeah,
concern, you know, all those
compassion,
sorts of things.
yeah.
The cornerstones of our school philosophy, really.
Yeah.
Treat others the way you wish to be treated
Bang.
yourself. Yeah.
It's pretty easy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
But
is.
It's
It
said
is.
often, but it's not often.
I think it's
acted.
said almost too much because I think it becomes wallpaper in some students' lives.
Let's come up with a new saying that means the same, but we don't have to do it now. We'll think about it.
No.
Okay, and I'm interested. We talked about this the other day. hear teachers' views on empathy in children. In your view, can it be taught or learnt?
I think that pretty much relates back to the previous question.
Yeah, I think it's very
Doesn't it?
much. Yep.
Yeah.
Bang. Did you this is what you talked about, your favourite teacher at school?
Yeah.
Because she was fun, firm,
fair,
so she had guidelines, and she was fair,
well organised,
mm-hmm.
made the subject fascinating and interesting by bringing in her experiences of being in France.
So personal experience
yes,
as well.
most important.
Great.
I can visualise. I can still remember them. I mean, God, I'm nearly 60. I can visualise her telling us about visiting chateaux and the cheeses, la vache qui rit, which is laughing cow cheese.
Perfect.
She told us all about those sorts of things, and we were all just, because I mean, half of us have been only as far as Dunedin and Christchurch, it was huge.
And so this is kind of the things you were talking about before, creating that good connection with the children, but, being vulnerable in a way where you're opening up your own life.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Gosh, certainly vulnerable. I know when Mother was very, very unwell and she was on the cusp of dying, and I had to tell my year 11s that I might be with them tomorrow and I might not, because Mother, and then I promptly just, as you do, just burst into tears in front of the kids, and all these kids just welled up. And I arrived back and there was flowers and a card from them all and all stuff like that, Ben. Still makes me feel teary. That was so lovely.
Awesome. That's kind of creating maybe a family style environment within the classroom, right?
Yeah, well, and within that year 11 class, we had such a range of learners. I had incredibly gifted kids to the most adorable, gorgeous boy who couldn't hold a paintbrush. It was just, oh my God, it was a challenge getting him through. And we all loved him.
Perfect.
We loved that kid. He was, each one of them had their own personalities. And I'm in the privileged position of having those kids for 3 years.
Yeah, great.
Because I had them year 9, year 10 and year 11 out. And when they left on the last day, I cried because I loved those kids.
Perfect.
It was so sad. And we always finish our term with, I stand at the door and say, righto, combination, or one or the other, hug or handshake. And they take hugs every time.
Hugs, there's got to be hugs. It has to be hugs.
Sometimes I do get my hands slightly crushed, but, they do, you get to have a relationship with those kids.
Perfect, yep.
And I defy anyone who says it's difficult to teach teenagers. They are fantastic.
You've got to open up, don't you?
They're fantastic. Mind you, I'm in a subject they choose.
Yeah.
I'm not in a subject they're made to do, like English and maths and science.
That leads back to what we're teaching our children, really, doesn't it? And maybe a little bit of choice. This is great. And
what, I've gone and got teary. That's a wee bit pathetic.
This is great. No, it's not. It's beautiful. So I think we've covered all that, like what your favourite teacher, who your favourite teacher was, and what you learned from her.
Yeah.
So do you have any sort of teaching philosophy that may differ from the norm? Because you might have touched on it, saying hug or handshake. It's not often you have, and particularly in a secondary school environment, teachers hugging the kids, which I think is.
It sounds terrible, but I have physical contact with the kids all the time.
I couldn't agree more with you. I lived in London, where you could. I was teaching in London, and you can't touch the kids, but it is literally impossible to create a relationship with a person if you do not have physical contact.
Well, in the last week of term, one of my wee girls was just sitting there, and she was just looking a bit, I said, what's up? Because she's normally a tuber, we think. She said, I just think I might need a hug. I said, on your feet, and we just had a great. And I don't think twice about that, but I'm a female, and a man couldn't do that then.
That is true.
They couldn't. But I'm sure bones can in other ways, like a ruffle of the hair and things like that.
There's something like there's a hand on the shoulder.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Is it a shame, do you think, that a man can't do that, or you think it's sensible?
Oh God, it's a shame, but it's sensible.
So that's maybe something about your teaching philosophy that differs because it's the physical.
Well, it's a different environment. I'm not in a straight rows desks sort of environment. It's there's movement around the room. We're all in a great big square, so nobody's at the front or the back. It's everybody's within the sort of, you know, we have stuff in the middle of the room, and it's just a different place to be. I don't want it to be that other place. Yeah. I mean,
But that's good if, you know, it's something for maybe other teachers to learn from that don't necessarily teach art. But
well,
in
I
other
think primaries
classrooms,
are
right?
doing it with their modern learning spaces. We've got all our refurbs at school, they've got breakout spaces now for alternative areas where kids can go and sit on the floor together and, you know, do cooperative things together. And I mean, I think it's very, very good, but I also think it's important for kids to have their own space with their own teacher at times too. I think especially for wee dotties it's important. It's very easy to get lost. I know that Beth said in some of the teaching places she was in when she was on section, they would have, you know, 3 classes or 4 classes all coming into a big breakout space to do things together, and she would just observe some little children that were just invisible within that enormous group of kids who actually during that time were not engaged and were not actually doing anything. But when you've got your own wee group, I know it sounds old-fashioned, but I'm old-fashioned in that respect. I think it's really nice for kids to feel that they've got their home group.
Perfect. So you think a mixture of the two?
Yeah, mixture of 2, but not too big for wee dotties.
Yeah. Depends on the age.
Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up, but
Okay.
thank you very much for that.
Oh,
I really
Ben,
appreciate it.
you know me, I love a talk.